Welcome to Between Views. I'm your host, Alec Koski. This podcast aims to cast light on inspirational people, identify them as potential mentors in your journey, and share their wisdom with the world. In this episode, we go live on Zoom in New York with the incredible filmmaker, Miguel Binnios. We've been having a good conversation so far, and one thing that I'm really curious about and would love for everyone who's listening at home to know is, who are your role models and why have they inspired you? How have they helped you along the way?
Yeah, so when I think of like my role models, people that inspire me to do what I do, there's a couple or maybe three people that come to mind. First one's a guy named Casey Neistat. If you're in the YouTube space, you definitely know him. He's known as like the godfather of vlogging. He started vlogging back in 2015, and he vlogged every single day for like 800 days in a row or something like that. Something insane. Yeah. um and yeah, he's one of, like, again, people that um kind of like dictated what vlogging is, what YouTube is. Because go back to 2015, 2014, there was not even 1% of the amount of YouTubers out there today. And so here's number one. He's and the reason why is his style of filmmaking I resonate with a lot.
Yeah.
He it's his channel. It's a team of one person, just him. He sets up all the shots. He does all the editing, and I resonate with that a lot because, again, I like to have control of all parts of the process. Um, and he does like lifestyle stuff, again, vlogging. I just resonate with his style a lot. Number two is a group called Yes Theory. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but basically
No?
they have been making videos on YouTube since 2016 or 17, and their main like motto is um to seek discomfort in life, and how when you seek discomfort, that's where all meaningful experiences and moments exist in life. And they make videos where they talk to strangers in all these different countries, and they travel to all these different places doing all these awesome things.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing a terrible job explaining,
No, you're
but
doing a great job.
thanks. So like I see them as my role model too, because I really believe in the same thing that they do, as life being this super rich thing full of all these different experiences, and all these different people that you can meet and talk to and hear their stories, languages that you can learn. um and like and I really try to incorporate some of that, I guess, in my videos.
Okay.
And number three, a little bit like below Yes Theory and Case Nice. There's a guy called Nathaniel Drew. I really love his content. He does like more reflecting videos, I guess, like more talking videos, where he just shares his thoughts on like different topics, I guess, of life. It's a lot of like psychology stuff, and I really like appreciate that kind of content too. And I kind of try to pull some of that into my videos too. So
It, now that you're talking about this, I was watching your moving apartments in NYC video this morning, and I'm just seeing all of this stuff emerging in each video that you do. Um, like you said, you take control of the process. That's the planning, the filming, the running back and forth to get the
yeah,
shot. But then right in the middle of all that, I was just thinking about, oh my gosh, how much movement this guy has to do just to get these shots. And then you
yeah,
stopped and I felt like I was invited into your thoughts. Like that seems like a Nathaniel Drew type of moment. Because I think for me, to sort of sit alongside you while you were thinking these things on the train, that made me feel a lot closer with you as a producer. And it felt like I was like engaged in the video a lot more. It's a really useful tool to make the content enjoyable because all of a sudden you're just thinking along with the producer. And because of that, yeah, you feel like you're in the film. Um, I guess this whole experience for you is like the yes theory's angle on things, isn't it? This 40-day challenge is basically you putting yourself into this, intentionally putting yourself in a difficult and challenging situation, just to see what it can bring out of you. What would you say that this challenge that you've done has brought out in you? What growth have you seen from putting yourself in this discomfortable place
I'm,
or
I'm
uncomfortable
definitely
place?
I'm definitely overthinking less. I'm less perfectionist, I guess, about my what I create. I realize that done. What's that quote? Um, done is better than. Gosh, I won't remember. I realized that putting something out is better than putting a medium video out. It's better than having a perfect video and not
Yeah.
having it out. Um, so yeah, I've become less perfectionist. I what else? I'm 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 thinking less. The biggest thing is I'm thinking less. Up until like the moment where I started this series, like my mind was always like 1,000 miles per hour, like every minute of my day, like having all these thoughts as to like, will people like my content? How there's all these different ways of getting this shot. What type of shot resonates the best with me? And so many questions. And now I again, because of the purpose of the series, like I don't have the time to ask myself these questions. And for an artist and someone who creates art for a living, like that's a really powerful thing to have. And um and so like I think that's been the biggest thing.
Yeah. So overall, your growth has been that you think less and it's trained you not to be so perfect with the content you put out. Because I feel like in some ways, when you don't put out perfect content, it shows people that you're also just a human as well. Like you're not this just perfect dude on YouTube who's got this life. Like showing people, because it's not very common online that you see people posting about their hard days. But it's
Yeah,
very refreshing when you're watching a video and all of a sudden the person who you admire and look up to is just like, man, today sucks. I'm having a real
yeah,
struggle. Like it,
yeah,
it allows you to connect with the video a lot more once the person in it or the people in it have been vulnerable and shown the
yeah.
truth behind what's actually happening. Because it's not all perfect. That's
Dude,
saying that we're trained to think these days. It's not all, we're trained to think that it is perfect because it looks perfect. But really
mhm.
in the background, sometimes these people are struggling, and that's cool.
Dude, 1,000,000%. Yeah, that's been one of the things that I've tried to stick to in all my videos, like to be honest and to show the truth of like how I'm feeling over my days. And like you said, I feel like today with so much content out there, people are like looking for this type of content, for this type of like truth content.
Mm.
um there's so much, you know um lack of honesty, I guess, out there these days. So I
Yeah.
think that it's really powerful again because people connect with that honesty a little more. So
Yeah. I've just
yeah,
thought of a question all of a sudden. I feel
yeah,
like when you're being vulnerable or when you're being truthful, you can often put out um, some information that might not please the public. And as you know, you've probably seen it before. I don't know if you've encountered it, but people who don't like what you put up, have you ever come across anyone who's been affected negatively by your content or someone who's posted like a random comment on it that was a little bit confusing and you didn't really understand their angle?
I mean, yeah, I've never gotten like a hate comment or anything like that, but I've gotten like interesting comments. Like for example, I posted a video where it's titled "A Realistic Monday Evening" or something like that in my life as a 24-year-old in New York City, and in the video I do laundry and I do meal prep for the week, like very
Yeah.
you know mundane things to do. And this guy left a comment me like, "Why are you making a video about doing laundry?" And I
How does that
that
how
that
does that affect you?
not it didn't. I just laughed at it. And I replied to
Yeah.
him. I was like, "Why did you watch it? Why are you watching it?"
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
true.
because at the end of the day, like I try to remind myself, like regardless of what you do, and I guess going back to the piece of advice that I can share with people starting out is like
Hmm.
there will be people that won't love your content, regardless of how good you are. And you really need to be okay with getting these random comments, with getting these like not not the most satisfying comments, and you need to realize that most of the time that's a translation of like who they are and less about who you are.
Yeah.
Um, and when you have that, when you look at it like that, it just changes everything. You start to not care because it really doesn't matter, you know, as
Yeah.
long as you're happy, as long as you're feeling fulfilled with what you're doing, nothing really
Yeah.
matters.
Of
So
course. I have a question about, so you've just gotten over 1,000 subscribers. That means that there's 1,000 people who see what you, or at least are notified about what you put up each time you put something up. Is there, how much do you have to interact with your public? Once you have, because you have a public now, right? You got 1,000 people who are going to see this and potentially ask you questions and things like that. How much of your time do you spend interacting with the public? Is that important for you?
um I mean like at least for this series I like to at the end of each video give a little like um I like to share how the series is going. Like I share some thoughts I'm having. Like for example, last week I went like 4 or 5 days without posting, and then when I posted again, I dedicated the last 2 or 3 minutes to talk about how I was feeling and why I kind of disappeared for a couple of days.
Mm.
Um, I guess that's about it. Like when it comes to like interacting, um, whenever there's a comment, I like to as best as I can to reply to those comments, obviously. And if there's a question, I'll reply to the question. Um, that's about it.
Mm.
YouTube is not the most like you put something out there, you post a video, people watch. That's
Yeah.
almost all of it. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to
Yeah.
like Twitter, where you post a tweet, people, it's a conversation. Um, so there's like less opportunities, I guess, for interaction.
True.
Other
You,
other than
YouTube.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, mate.
No, no, you go. I
YouTube
was
is
like,
almost like it's almost like today's version of television in a way. I know that if I ever turn up at my dad's house, he's typically watching something on YouTube rather than just on regular TV. And I think
right.
because, obviously the algorithm's trained to show you some things that you'll enjoy, and he's just gotten stuck in that process of loving that instead.
Yeah.
Um, I wonder if there's been many times where your videos just come up in the algorithm for other people and they've been like, "Oh, what's going on here?" I wonder how many of your subscribers you actually don't know.
Right. No, that's kind of crazy. I mean, in fact, there's an app called YouTube Studio, which is like basically the analytics app. Like for example,
Yep.
that's where you go on when you're trying to figure out like you know what's your retention rate, how many people like clicked on your video, and then how many people only watched the video for 30 seconds, how many people stick to the end. It's insane how much analytics the app gives you. And one of them is it tells you like out of okay, if I have a video that got 1,000 views, how many of those 1,000 were people that found my video through the recommended page.
Hmm.
um, and it's yeah, it's pretty crazy when that happens, when a video starts to get pushed by the algorithm. Like most of the views um were by people that again found it by the recommended page, and that's how they found my page, and that's
Yeah.
basically they subscribe to the channel. Yeah.
So you need to, in some ways, for that kind of success, for growth on YouTube, you need to find yourself on the recommended page. Do you know any tips for getting your videos into the algorithm? Because I know that you see a lot of videos like, oh, how to crack the algorithm, that kind of thing popping up. Is there actually ways that can push your video that direction?
I mean, yeah, I mean, like there's a lot of things, and like for example, like the biggest thing I guess is like everything's so fast these days, like with like short form content, like vertical content, like people's attention span is so short, like it's been never been
Yeah.
shorter. So
Yeah.
I guess like when you're editing a video, that's it's almost annoying, but you need to keep the pace going. If
Yeah.
obviously podcast is an entirely different medium, but like when you're posting a vlog or something that there's a lot more editing that goes into it, you know, there's a there's a minimum level of like pace that people will be okay with watching, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
So with that in mind, now that you know that these days people's attention span is far shorter, do you ever consider just doing shorts, putting all of your energy into short films that the same amount of energy and passion that put into shorts?
like shorts, the vertical content, or
Yeah, yeah,
so yeah, that's like an interesting conversation. I personally have like zero, not zero, but like very like a lot less interest in producing short format content as opposed to like making long format content. Part of the reason is because I working I hate working with my phone. I
yeah,
absolutely hate like filming with the phone, editing on the phone, posting on the phone. It's very easy to get like um lost in this, because all of a
yes,
sudden you're looking through your footage and you're like, okay, let me transfer to the editing app, and all of a sudden you click on Instagram. It's very easy to lose focus.
yeah,
I'd rather a lot more having my camera. When I'm done filming, I pull the SD card, connect to my MacBook, upload all the footage, open Premiere. It's just a more fulfilling experience because again,
yeah,
I want my whoever's watching my content to have sort of an experience with watching my movies. I want them to have a feeling at the end of the consuming process. And I found that if you want that experience in the viewer, if you want the viewer to have again, to have to feel something, long form is the way to go because short form is so
yeah.
fast. There's time for people to, there's no connection, there's no relationship between the creator and the audience in the short form world. So that's why I guess I stick to the long form. And it just I love it a lot more. So
Okay. And long form's going to be much more useful for you if you dive back into the professional film industry, right?
100% again because
Yeah.
there's a lot more connection between long form and YouTube and traditional filmmaking.
Do you think that your YouTube profile could be part of your resume?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So building up that profiles in a way is kind of like building up your resume and showing your ability to interact online, create lots of film. I think
A
if
million
someone
percent.
was looking to hire you, they might look at that and be like, oh, wow, this guy's really committed.
A million percent. YouTube is nothing like when you're a YouTube creator, like you have this library of work. Like this is what I do, this is what I am, this is what I
Yeah.
can do, you know? It's definitely part of your resume for sure.
Okay. Well, I feel like I've asked you lots of different questions about this and got lots of really good answers. One thing I'm wondering is where are you trying to finish up with this? What's the I know you said you love the process more than the outcome, but if there was an outcome, what is it that you're kind of walking towards at the moment?
Would I like to end with this? God, big question.
Yeah.
I feel like as long as I'm in a place where I am happy with what I'm creating, and I get this validation from people that they enjoy what I'm creating, I'm set. Um, Obviously, like I said in the beginning, like I think about the numbers. Obviously, I would like to have goals of getting to. Right now, I just passed 1,000. Of course, I have goals of getting to 10,000 subscribers and
Yeah.
100,000. But at the end of the day, I try my best not to have that as my biggest driving force.
Yeah.
So like when you ask me where do I want to go from here, is I want to be here, you know. Um, I feel like I'm doing a good job when it comes to prioritizing, I guess, again, my passion and the stories that I want to tell, and as long as I'm doing that, um, that's where I want to go. That's where I want to be. You know. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, to be honest, I think you've done an amazing job today of answering basically everything I've asked. I feel like all of my curiosities have definitely been eased. Um, I guess one thing I usually do at the end of this is ask a few random questions that are kind of unrelated to the process. But
Mhm.
I feel like during our interview, I've actually slipped those in and asked them anyway. Maybe what I'll do today, just to finish it up, is I might even let you leave a question for the next person who comes on the show. And I'm going to ask them that question. So, do you have any questions that you usually ask people? Something that you're usually just very curious about? It's going to be a random person that you probably won't know.
Right.
So you're just going to ask a question to the next person who comes on the show, and I might pass that question on to them.
Right. Okay. Let me think of something. Um, what are you the most proud of yourself for?
What are you
That's
the
my question.
most proud of yourself for? Okay, perfect. All right, Miguel. Well, I'm gonna finish our recording right there, I think, and just say thank you for giving me your time today and sharing all of this amazing information with the people who are going to listen to this. I'm looking forward to seeing what and if anything you do with this content, because people at home probably didn't know this today, but Miguel is also filming, which makes sense, getting some more content for his own YouTube channel. If you haven't come across Miguel yet, can you please jump over to his channel? It helps him an awful lot if you subscribe and have a watch of the videos. They are very entertaining. I'm definitely going to go and watch a few right after this. I think I was halfway through one. I want to get back there and finish it, help him get those content hours as well so he can achieve his goals. You're helping him out just by getting over there, subscribing and watching. So yeah, thank you very much, Miguel. I appreciate you being here.
Dude, thanks for having me. I had a great time. This is awesome. This is awesome. Thanks for having me, bro.
All right. Hey, thanks for listening to part 2 of our interview with Miguel. If you enjoyed what you heard, please jump over and give Miguel a follow on YouTube. It's going to help him out an awful lot. Also, remember that the best way that you can support this podcast is by liking and following Between Views on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and literally anywhere else you can find it. Also, if you know someone who's inspirational and who deserves to be interviewed, please send us an email at betweenviewsbb@gmail.com or give us a message on Instagram. Thanks again and see you soon. Between Views.